Well, it's a bit of an emotional one, this, because our beloved Rhines is jetting off to New Zealand in a matter of days. And you'll be staring at the long walls of Raglan by the time this hits your devices. Emotional, partly then, because I'm pretty jealous. But also because, you know, the Rhines is a pretty special human. So anyway, we've finally set up a podcast that we've been wanting to do for quite some time here. And JP is the guy that Rhino has always said that he really wanted to make sure that we could interview before going, or before Rhino went. And to mark that occasion, freshly back from Saudi Arabia, I don't know if you can call it freshly or not, literally he's only been in the country a couple of hours, but as a result of Craig coming back from Saudi Arabia, we're also on screen again if you're using YouTube, because camera anchor, he's on it, he's behind the lens, and he's there on the bingo box. He's getting quite the rep now since his amazing broadcast of the British. But tonight his subject material is going to be our amazing guest, Johnny Purton. Welcome to Crest, JP.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome to Crest, John.
Thank you very much. Didn't expect this, but, you know, why not? Yeah, it's good.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, as Tom alluded to earlier on there, John, you've always been really special to me. One of the reasons is, I've always ridden your board since I was a young lad. Yeah. So I've been super excited to hang out here and ask all those questions everybody wants to know. So, in the coming hour or so, we're going to find out all about JP's amazing life, and also your surfing life, and some things some things you might not have known, like such as the fact you're a great bass player. In a band, no less.
In a band, yeah.
But hang on, that can wait. Yeah. But first of all,
bands,
First of all, I'd like to thank JP, Johnny, for his hospitality here. We've had a beer and we've had a curry already. We're here in your amazing factory here in Penclouth, JP Surfboards. It's a great place. How long have you been in here now so far, John?
This factory, it's coming up 17 years now.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been down here. Prior to this, we were on mate's farm of mine up in Bishopston, Rob Jones. We were there in a chicken shed. Well, an old chicken shed. We were there for pretty much 10 years, actually. And prior to that, 7 or 8 years there. Prior to that, I was working out of Cornwall, St Agnes and Newquay.
Right.
And prior to that was Wave Graffiti, which was actually on this estate, but not in this building.
I remember that.
We were down the bottom.
Penclouth, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Right.
So that, so that goes way back. So we started that. Wave Graffiti started in 86.
Wow.
And we finished in 96.
Yeah, so that's a decade. It's like 35 years of.
Yeah. Prior to that, I worked with. Started working at Crab Island with Pete Phillips. Yeah. And then if you want to go back further, I actually made a board when I was 13, 14. Which was
now I am lost with them. It's 50. It's 50
70s.
Years.
So
it's 50 plus years.
Yeah, 1970 was when I kind of made a board. It's a funny story because some people love it, the fact of what happened. So at the time, Dave Fryer had a shop. He was the Bilbo distributor in Wales.
So Bilbo is.
So Bilbo was obviously
Bob Head and Bill Bailey.
Bill Bailey,
that's why that's why it's called Bilbo, because it's Bill and Bob.
Yeah.
Ah, right.
So they had obviously their main. The
Australians, weren't they? They'd moved to Newquay and started.
And that was the shop Bilbo 2000, then, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well,
no, that was just reinvented again.
I reckon.
Right.
So original Bilbo was literally
63.
Yeah.
Oh, it was that early.
And at the same time, what's the name? So it would have been. It was the guys in Broughton,
Tiki Tim.
Tiki originally started in Abergavenny. That's where their factory was originally.
Was that right? Gosh.
Yeah, and Roger Cooper actually worked for them there.
Wow.
So you're going back, this is 60s now. Yeah. So, so that's, so basically, Dave Fryer was basically like an agent for Bilbo in Swansea. Dave Fryer was from London.
Yeah.
Been to Cornwall and then moved up here.
Okay.
So that's how that happened. So basically, I thought, right, I can't afford a new board. Parents were like, surfing? What's that?
Yeah.
No chance. You know? What do you think you're doing? You know, it's like you need to be concentrating on your schoolwork, you know, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, cutting lawns, you know. I couldn't have no pocket money, you know, all this, the usual shit. So it was like, because new boards were only 28 quid.
But then that 28 quid is roughly...
Yeah. Well,
yeah, equivalent then to about
quid now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Is it similar kind of steep,
it is,
like steeper than a new bike?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, Dave got the blank up from Bilbo, no stringer. So somebody said to me, you know, obviously when I was kind of learning to surf in Langland, there's a few guys around there, you know, saying, oh yeah, 7 foot is what you need, you know. Blah, blah, blah. Right, okay. 2.5 inches thick, you know, that's kind of, you know. So, right, got that. Okay, blank. Resin, where did I get the resin from? Right, the guy you need to see is the butcher, because he does ding repairs behind the butcher shop.
No way.
And that old butcher was opposite where I used to live in Mumbles, you know. So he got the resin from him.
And this resin straight from boat making, is it?
Yeah, of course, yeah. You know, sorry. Yeah, straight from that. And then, of course, where do you get the fiberglass from? The boat chandlers. So it was Cambrian House, it was. Boating supplies, I think it was.
Yeah.
I can't remember now. And they were down in the sandfields. So went there, got the fiberglass, which was probably 10 ounce, you know, mat, thicker than a doormat, you know.
Yeah.
So, right, shape the board. Templates. I'm going to tell you, what's a template? Nobody knows about templates. There was no boards. I couldn't go, you know, there's hardly any boards around.
No computers,
Nobody understands what you do. So it was like, yeah, it kind of looks all right. Rounded pin, yeah. Cut it out, shaped it with a surf foam. You know, planers, what's that? You know, didn't know anything about it. Right, glassing. So kind of shaped the board, glassing, right. Didn't have to know how to wrap fiberglass around it. What's that, you know? Just kind of cut it around. Somebody said he got a rocker in it. Right,
so
okay.
you're just guessing
and
how
a
much.
bit of colour. Right, so powder paints from school, you know, mix that in with the resin.
So that's a resin tint.
Yeah.
An early take on the resin tint, yeah.
Exactly. And then put a brick on the end of the nose on a stand, you know, that was on a stand. I can't remember what I used, but on a stand while the resin was going off to give it some rocker on the nose. And sanding, it took me, and you know, wrapping, it was all sharp edge rails, you know, sanding took me, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. You know, hot coats and things like that.
And is this
it was just sticky.
Elbow grease sanding?
Yeah.
So
it was bomb-proof, the board was then?
Kind of.
Have you still got it?
No.
Probably would have gone like pretty yellow.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, I props. You know, I was only just starting. It wasn't. You know, I kind of could surf it, but somebody who could surf. I can't remember his name now exactly who it was. It wasn't Paul Carnaby. It was somebody else. I can't remember his name. And he tried. There's a guy in school with me, Chris Jones, I think his name was. He tried it and said, yeah, it goes all right. So that's where it all started.
The seed was planted.
Yeah, you know, and that was it. So, you know, 14 years of age. But then it was like, oh, that's a shit board.
So how long?
I need to go and buy one now.
How long had you been surfing for before you decided to go making a board?
Oh, probably about a year. But it was getting to the beach. I lived in Pennard, so you know, Mum and Dad weren't going to give me lifts to the beach. So it was kind of, I had a mate that lived in Castle Bay Road that surfed. Phil Mort, his name was. And so it was like, okay, leave the board there. Oh, I didn't have a, you know, it was sort of share boards. And then we, you know, it was Caswell, was kind of where we learned to surf. So, you know, Redcliffe, Paradise Lefts, which is around the corner at low tide.
It's such a beautiful beach.
It is, you know, I mean, it closes out, but that's what it does. But
when you're a teenager, do you know you're living on like one of the most beautiful beaches in Wales,
No,
or is it
you
when
don't.
you sort of, you know,
just
you
don't
travel
do
and you get
you
back?
take it, you know, it's
that view looking back at Caswell from a lineup makes up for the waves.
And it's
not
changed.
being...
It's changed a lot since then. You know, I mean, it was you could park at the bottom of the Redcliffe. Yeah. The Redcliffe had been built
right
as flats, and there was a nightclub on the top of it. You know, obviously I was too young to go there, but you could just park in the car park right at the bottom.
So all those like, you know, 4-story like Nordic mansions and all the like the wood cladding and the glass, none of that was there.
No, half of those weren't there.
That's just a hillside.
The house on the beach, which is CK's, he owns that house. The guy who's got CK food stores.
Yeah.
he owns that house right in the front,
Right.
where the big pines are and stuff like that. That was always there.
That was there.
But and then behind was a hotel. Where there's big flats in now. That was the Castle Bay Hotel,
okay,
which you might remember. There was a nightclub there and all that sort of stuff years ago. But that's where I started drinking. Because there was a back bar.
Which is what we're really here to talk about.
Started drinking there, and it was like, it was, what was it? I think it was a pound would get you 4 pints of lager lime.
Glory days.
Couldn't drink straight beer. It wasn't sweet. It was too bitter. You know.
Pound of pints is pound of 4 pint.
Wow.
Can I go through a couple of the crew that you're growing up with then? So who are like, do you get into surfing as an, are you a kind of outcast from your sort of school friends because you're off surfing, or are there guys like doing it with you who are like your childhood mates?
No, they weren't really childhood mates. And it was, I kind of not found surfing, but it was basically, I was, walking, I think I was just walking the dog one day or something, I was walking around and I was like, I kind of heard about surfing, you know what I mean? And I remember walking around the cliff and Caswell, and there was these guys surfing. I was mesmerised.
Really?
Yeah, I was just mesmerised and going, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that. And my mates were like, nah, they're not doing that. So I kind of found other mates, and we kind of all started surfing together. There was a bunch of us, But they all kind of, I was probably the only one out of that bunch of us, which probably was 5, 6, 7 of us that carried on surfing.
Really?
Yeah, Then there was one guy, his name was Ian Toppin, he was a builder or whatever, but he was, he was quite good. But he kind of, they all gave it up.
Really?
Which is really kind of weird. But it was because it was not, I want to say it was not cool, but it was like, it was seen as being like, oh, you're messing about with that. What are you doing? You should be playing rugby, football, or whatever.
So the sort of the scene.
The stigma was like, it's not,
It's not quite like
don't
it is
waste
today, is it?
Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
You're wasting your time doing that.
Yeah.
That's how it was seen. Parents would sort of say,
and you must look back now and sort of.
I'd buy surf mags, I'd be buying
like,
surf mags and, religiously reading them and looking at them and going, wow, California, look at that, Rincon.
But you must look back at that now and think like, I was right to be doing that.
Yeah, exactly, but I mean, I was kind of like, I was right, I was only right insofar as what it gave me.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of changed now. People do it because it's kind of cool. You know what I mean? There's a reason why we went surfing, and that was really it was not to conform.
Yeah.
And an escapism from real life, reality, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because it was just you and the ocean, and equipment then was negligible, nothing. It was like this choice that you got nowadays. I made my first wetsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things like this. There wasn't a steamer. You had to have a jacket and a.
So you just get cold in winter.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you have the little beaver tail things as well?
Yeah, that stuff and all those things, and it's just like. And it was diving stuff that you would probably pick up, I mean, it was
Marigolds
crazy.
ever?
Yeah.
Did you surf?
They're actually colder.
Did you surf throughout the winter as well?
Hard.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah, early spring.
Right.
And you wouldn't be in long.
Yeah. I can remember talking to Linda Sharp, and she would tell us being up at Aberavon and daubing her Aran jumper with oil, and then going in for one wave, and then running back out, and then standing by the fire.
The fire, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean that's hard. Those days were really hard.
You just didn't have the equipment. It wasn't there to be had. So
and that's beach fire.
You made
beach fire.
You made the best of what you had, and that was it. So it was like, if you could get something, and if somebody brought something back. Now and again, all of a sudden, surfing was obviously growing, or there was this sort of code that was people would travel around the world, So maybe a Californian, somebody who knew somebody in California would come over, and he'd bring something over,
Some kit.
Yeah, and everybody go, oh my God,
Yeah.
And it's only second-hand stuff.
Yeah.
But you'd be falling over to get it,
And that's how surfboards arrive in Britain, or
really?
surfboard shaping, because some of these guys from California, I think there's a few, there's Bill Bailey and Bob Head, Bilbo, and then Rodney Sumpter, who's worked over in the Hobie factory. They're bringing this skill into the country. They're teaching the Brits how to make boards, and that's how That's how an industry's growing, isn't it?
Yeah, so, you know, nothing, we didn't have a good choice back in those days, but it was, and that's why, you know, today it's like so easy to learn to surf. You had stuff then that was, you know, I've got some of those boards lying around here, you know, and you look at them and go, how on earth? But you made them surf, you know what I mean? You surfed, you had to work it out. You know, if it was catching rails, you didn't do that turn, or you just go straight or something, you know.
Yeah.
Or nosedive, you just stand on the back and then, you know, and all those things, you know.
So this is, and that's the thing, isn't it? I think that's the thing with you, is that you've been part of the process, which has helped surfing and surfboards, especially in the UK.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the help of other boards coming in as well, you've helped surfing evolve.
Yeah, and for sure, and you know, I mean, obviously, you know, there's a period where after you know, after sort of that leaving, you know, the old man getting me a job and all that sort of stuff, which I didn't know what I wanted to do and all that sort of stuff, and then I disappeared to Canada then, and then travel around the States. Still not, you know, I was trained as a heavy duty mechanic, which is whatever you want to call it, diesel mechanic. So I used to work on not oil rigs but gas plants.
Right.
Well, the first went there, I was working on the Kenworth trucks, man, hauling hard, you know, and stuff like that. But then worked on big gas plants out in, you know that ice road trucker stuff, if you've seen that.
Yeah, I love that.
We'd be out in the sticks, you know, and you know, only certain times of the year you could go in there. I mean, I've experienced, you know, minus 45, you know, all sorts of things.
And working with your hands in that.
Well, we broke down, actually. We were coming back from the camp. We'd been there for 10 days. And we were sitting, and then basically you start the truck up, you know, to warm it up anyway. And it's a beautiful day, sunny. It's like, yeah, oh, great, going home, you know. It's probably it's an 8-9 hour drive, you know. And just sitting there, and the guys come running in, they go, geez, it's cold out there. I go, what do you mean, you know, minus 30, yeah, whatever, you know. That's kind of regular, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm sure the guy goes, it's minus 45, and it's supposed to be getting colder. And we're going,
Oh no.
It's like
So we wait
outer
for-
space temperatures.
yeah, we wait for an hour for the truck to warm up, which it kind of didn't, but it got warmish, and off we went. And so the double wheels on the back, you know, sort of a service truck, so big, you know, what they call a dually, so driving down the ice road and like this, right, and all of a sudden my mate goes, we got a flat. I was like, oh no.
In minus 45.
And it was the inside wheel that was flat. So we had to take it in turns, because you had to get your hands in to get the nuts off. And literally, it was like 2 nuts, even though a nut and a half, and your hand would be frozen. You'd have to get back in the car. I mean, it's like unbelievable. Your breath was freezing, you know, your throat was freezing up. I've never seen it like it. I was like, you know, it's mad.
That is hardcore.
So does this work?
Piss
kind
on the
of-
wall and it wouldn't even get to the floor. Seriously.
So does this work kind of like scare you into surfboards then? You go like,
No,
right.
I was just kind of, so long story short, that happened. Then there was a big recession there.
Oh, in
I was
the US.
kind of done with it anyway, and it was like we'd already made plans to go to Oz.
Right.
So that was the plan, but Cheryl was pregnant, so we couldn't get x-rays, so we came back here because we could carry on doing it from here. And yeah, long story short, then there was a recession in Oz, and there was not enough
So you didn't go to
placements, so we didn't go to Oz.
Okay.
So, which was a bit of a whatever, so it was like, make the best of what I could here. And it was like, do you know, I don't want to be a mechanic. I don't want to, you know, as much as I was riding motorbikes when I was bloody 10 years of age and all that sort of stuff, you know, because my dad was an engineer, that's, you know, that's the thing we did, you know. And I was like, oh. And I was like, even to the point, because I used to paint a lot, you know, I was like, oh, I'm going to start painting and sell paintings. And you were thinking, you in the real world, you know,
Yeah.
you got kids, what's the matter with you, you know? And then I kind of went, all right, you know, I just thought, because I, obviously surfing, I was back here and I was surfing and I'd done some repairs on a board and I went, I thought, go down and see Pete Phillips at Crab Island, you know? And here we go. And that was it. So then I started helping Pete out and da-da-da.
I was going to say, that was the thing, because that was my first recollections of
Yeah.
your work.
Yeah.
Because my first ever surfboard was
It's a Crab Island.
a Crab Island. I think if I'm right, it was shaped by Craig Hughes.
Yeah.
And the boards, I seem to remember that the board's name was a Phenolic Mega.
Oh no, yeah, no, that was the foam.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, so that was
right.
so that would would be surf blanks.
Right.
Midget Farrelly.
Because I don't have the board anymore, and I can distinctly remember as a kid that because I drew my board, I was in maths and I drew my board. It actually used to belong to Brad, and my mum had said, do you want to start surfing? And Brad's mum was like, well, Brad's selling. And I had this thing, and it was just, when you start surfing, you can remember the smells of the wax and all that, and your board. I mean, and that was me. I was just being a bit wistful there, but no, I mean. What was your real involvement then when it came to Crab Island?
So basically, I ended up, sort of said, right, okay, work. I started laminating.
Right.
So that's in making fins and things like that. So I started laminating boards, and that was kind of, and then obviously Craig and Terry Glass was another guy.
So this Craig, they're Australians.
No, Craig was actually New Zealander.
Right.
But he was working out of Australia, out of Ulladulla. With Bruce Heggie.
Ulladulla.
So Ulladulla Surfboards.
Oh,
so that's Bruce Heggie, that was.
Do you know that you mentioned your first surfboard?
Yes.
Mine was a wave graffiti, so it shows that slight generation, the small generation gap between me and Ryan's, right?
Well, there's a Crab Island up there, look. So it's got wave graffiti on it as well.
It's got wave graffiti on it too.
So that was just post wave graffiti.
Yeah, because the link there is Ulladulla, and I didn't know for decades what Ulladulla was, because it was like I had this. My dad had found just somewhere in the free ads, it was a 610. It was 2 or 3 inches thick, 20 something wide. It was a big bloke who was selling his board, and my dad thought that's going to be perfect. I wanted a little paper, a little chip. No, he said you have to learn to surf on something buoyant first and all that, right?
That's right.
And it was a wave graffiti. It was like a fluorescent pink bottom and a yellow top or something, and it said on it wave graffiti, and underneath Ulladulla,
yeah. So,
and I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
So did yours say Ulladulla on it?
Mine did actually say Ulladulla.
Because basically what happened was Craig was working for Bruce Heggie in Ulladulla, right?
Right.
So Bruce had the factory.
Which, for the benefit of the
Craig
listener, is a
was
town in New South Wales.
Craig was really an artist, and old, he was really, really good, at that. His art was amazing, what he could do, and. He started shaping there, and that's kind of how it all, that's the connection between Ulladulla. Yeah. And Terry Glass was another Aussie guy. He was from the Gold Coast that relocated to Ulladulla. And he was mates with Craig, and they came over here. Obviously, travelling, find work, blah, blah, blah. And
New South Wales, teaching Old South Wales.
Yeah, and it was obviously, to see Aussie guys, from what Peter was doing, and no disrespect to Peter at the time, but obviously when they came, it was like, no, this is how you do it.
Right.
Yeah.
You do it like this, you don't do it like that.
Right.
I was like, right, wow, yeah, okay. So it was a big, that was a big learning process of understanding, and I'm a big believer in if you're going to do something, you've got to know it from the bottom up.
Yeah.
So nowadays it doesn't really matter, but I think it does, because as time goes on, my knowledge about things insofar as surfboards and how they work, construction, whatever, I can tell you exactly what it is, if there's a problem, blah, 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 blah. Whereas a lot of guys nowadays, they won't, because they've just, I'm just a shaper, and 9 times out of 10, they're on the computer shaping anyway. So it's all been sort of, cut, should we say disjointed, or not disjointed, is not the right word, but should we say it's kind of like a separatist sort of,
Yeah.
A lot of people don't learn the full skill. If they just shapers nowadays, they'll take it to a glass shop.
Yeah.
Where there's just guys just laminate boards 24/7 every day. That's all they do.
Yeah.
It's become productionized.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not just. It hasn't sort of. I'm not saying a lot of guys still do it, but it's just by doing it, all of it, you understand the whole process and how it all sort of sticks together. So the finished product is, that's it. It's, you're trying to reach perfection, so you that's what you're looking for. So you can control that.
Yeah.
And it's really important, I think, and it's helped me throughout the years, because I can go back in my memory bank or whatever, and I can go, no, that didn't, we used to use those materials, and I tell you what, that stuff, I'm sure we can still get that, if you might have noticed nowadays, certainly a lot of these EPS boards, they're like glow-in-the-dark boards. They go yellow after a while. All right? It's only an optical brightener. It's nothing new. We were down the other factory, Wave Graffiti, so it would have been like, 86. No, probably about 89. Because Baron Stander was over here then.
I remember the cross.
Yeah,
that on his
and Roger Cooper said, I just happened to see him. He said, "Oh, Johnny, you want to try some of this in your resin? Optical brightener." Then I chucked it in. My board was like, "Whoa!"
No way.
And then it just went yellow within about 3 months. But because I chucked too much in. But that's people seem to think that we're using all new materials. We're not. Materials that we use generally it's all post-war.
And no one has really yet found
it's all from the aerospace
solution like to it all.
Well, it's not, because I've always said this. We've probably got the best materials for making surfboards, just like we've got the best materials to making houses, the best materials for tyres.
Yeah. I suppose so many surfboards, so many houses, so many tyres have been made that progress is fast in those. And also, let's not forget, surfboard technology. A lot of it comes from boats, doesn't it? And
a lot of things. Yeah, I mean,
was polyurethane foam? Is that like
that was?
Is that from boat building, or is it?
No, a lot of it was developed from the aerospace industry.
Right. Oh,
fiberglass
and
polyurethane foam, because
fills an
fill out,
out,
or things like that. Yeah, aerospace industry is the biggest. And of course now we've gone down the carbon route, but I'm not saying. Everything works. Your front door will serve.
But still fiberglass and polyurethane with a balsa stringer down the middle.
Yeah, well, not, but it's mixtures of wood nowadays. You can get different grains, and that's the difference. It's a chemical mix. You could never reproduce a board exactly the same as the last one. Impossible. Because you're still hand finishing it and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But so it's interesting, really.
Yeah, it is. Beautiful. It's really interesting. So then you moved on from just going back there from your days at Crab Island. Yeah. And then you moved into with it Swiftly?
So what happened then? So Wave Graffiti then. So basically we kind of went, because things were, it was just like we got to make,
What a name for a surfboard company, by the way. Anyway, we say it so much, we don't actually stop and think what that means.
And that was Craig's. That was Craig's name actually. So we kind of adopted that because he said, "We'll just use that because it's already there. People know the logo."
Yeah.
Right. So basically, so what happened was Crab Island had moved to the old ice house in the docks, and then things kind of weren't working out. So let's start up something. So it was like, right, start Wave Graffiti, blah, blah, blah. And we opened up a unit up in the Aztec Business Centre in Forest Park.
That's right, I can remember that. The shop, wasn't it?
There was a shop. That was afterwards, that was.
Oh, was it? Oh, right.
Yeah. So this is a little industrial estate up in Forest Park.
Right, yes.
We were only there a year or so, and then we moved down here.
Okay.
So obviously, time was going on, and we were, obviously we were making boards for Carwin and people like that at the time. And
I was going to say, you must have worked with some real characters from behind the scenes.
Steve England was having boards off us there.
That's right, he was.
Rob Small.
Rob Small.
It's funny, we sort of reached out and Richard Carter, who sadly has got some Parkinson's disease, isn't he?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Sad that is, yeah. But he's okay at the moment. He was doing good. Richard Carter, because we did quite a bit of work selling boards North Devon.
Yes.
So there was an Aussie shaper there called John Hall, who was he was the Gordon Smith shaper for G&S way back when.
Very cool brand that was.
It was,
a super cool brand.
They got a G&S board in the corner.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So it's kind of all these characters that you meet. I mean, I met some some right nutcases, and you just kind of go. And a lot of these guys aren't even alive today.
In Carwin's heyday, are you working on him and sort of R&D, talking? Was he a shaper feedback loop kind of guy?
Well, Craig used to do most of his boards back then, so that was kind of where it was at, And then
isn't that movie Carwin did with
All Down the Line, was it?
Isn't the scene there where he's surfing a little dreamy little right hand looking point in Oz?
Yeah.
That must be Aladilla then.
Yeah.
with Danny Wills,
Wills.
Joe
Yeah,
Spooner,
that's it, down
that
there.
must be
Tom
the
Cowell
bone
as well, isn't
and
it?
Tom Cowell.
Yeah,
that must
that's
be
it,
the
yeah.
boneyard then, that right hand point at the end of.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where it is.
Taladella,
But it's definitely
Then
there.
you can see the
yeah.
connection because he'd be over there doing
Yeah.
working on his boards.
So
Wow.
so that's what happened there, and then obviously then we met other shapers. Other people would come over. Baron Stander, who was from Durban, South Africa.
Yeah.
Sadly, he's passed away. Craig's passed away as well. He passed away
Really?
quite a few years ago now. Yeah, cancer, unfortunately, But he actually, back in the day when it was the top 30, when it was sort of like, early days of the Pro Tour,
The ASP.
he actually designed a board game, of going on tour.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
How cool would
I
that
would have
be?
been all over that.
Yeah,
As a crop if I did, but
I remember him showing it to me, and we all going, "Well, that's pretty out there,
Yeah.
But, and it never transpired. But his wife still lives in. Well, go and see Liz. She's there in Raglan when you go there.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And his son is Luke, who surfs quite well. I think he shapes now and has sort of taken over. They've got Raglan Surf Shop.
I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah.
And that could probably be one of my first ports of call when I
Yeah.
go over, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, say hello to him for me. Yeah,
Will do.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, so there you go.
Cool.
It's funny how it all ties in, So
Oh, well, I'll be welcome. That's
Yeah.
my into Raglan point there.
you're in.
No, it's all right. I'll start at the very bottom and work my way up.
Yeah.
I know the score.
Yeah, of course. But and that's really sort of what, we were, these people would come in and we've had some, there were some crazy times. We'd be back and forth to Cornwall and doing all sorts of things, like you do. But that's what it was back then. It seemed the guys that were kind of into which was kind of a bit like you see some of the older guys that I kind of knew, as the likes of Paul Henry and people like this. They're quite, the characters are almost eccentrics. Carl went to a point was bordering on that eccentricity, and that's what surfing. The guys who were surfing were those people,
And you guys were making boards for Simon Tucker as well, weren't you?
Tucker, Brad, and even Voney, as old as he is now. How old is he? He's not that old, is he?
Well, he's old enough
He's
to
not that old.
He's not that
He's the
old.
same age as me. He's not that old.
So we were doing. I'm trying to think back in the days. But yes, I know that. Yeah, there was Simon. Yeah, of course, Simon. Yeah, quite a few boards. Yeah.
I think with Simon, I think
You had a Crab Island though, was it? That's what you had.
no. I started off with crabs to start with.
Yeah.
Crabs. I didn't.
Rhino had crabs.
Right. Okay.
Johnny's moving his chair over.
So I had a crab island. But no, then I think what did it for me for when I think I remember seeing Simon in quite an iconic shot. There was Grishka there, Darren Potter, and Simon Tucker standing at Maranicho in Fuerteventura.
Right.
And they're standing there, and I can remember seeing that shot, and then I can remember seeing Simon pulling into a barrel at the bubble, just doing the V sign. And I just thought, and I had it on my wall.
Yeah.
And I was like, one day I'm gonna have a wave graffiti, and I think I did have a wave graffiti, but then a little bit further down the line, then I started having boards off you, which was amazing, which is a really cool thing.
Can I ask about that artwork in the wave graffiti days, because it was pretty iconic, all the leery colour clashes, and it was quite kind of Mambo, wasn't it? In its sort of
so we had a
style.
I used to do. I did a lot of the artwork at one stage.
Yeah.
But we did have a guy, Russell Scotty, who's sadly passed away as well, who used to work for Rip Curl down. He was doing the artwork for Rip Curl down in France, Hossega, and he did work for Maurice Cole and stuff like that. But he was really artistic, Russell was.
Yeah, because Rip Curl and Maurice Cole board, there was a connection between those boards, wasn't
Yeah.
there? I think for a while.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, definitely.
board,
Well, there's some that wave graffiti up there. That's my handiwork.
Is it?
Yes. And it was funny because I'd come up with some mad things, and Steve England would, Steve would go, yeah, I'll have a spray. Obviously, just sort of get into the zone and. there'd be something fluorescent and mad and everything, and he's going, I can't ride that. I said, what's the matter? It's amazing. You
Just
know?
get your web gloves on and get on with it.
And that's the thing. That's actually the one thing I remember about the wave graffiti boards was actually the lairyness. But it suited the time. Like,
Yes,
just
It's the age of the web gloves and the Bug
And-
Pro
Yeah,
Tour.
and it was. I remember
Mike Slam Lambrisi and
Well, like Paul Lovell had a. I remember
Lovell.
he had a
Level, yeah.
yellow
remember
board,
Paul.
like fluorescent yellow.
fluorescent. Yeah, and his quiver was just like you knew it was Paul and his wave graffiti.
But it was, and that is it, you know, and it's, with surfboards, it's kind of like, it's a revolving door,
Yeah.
right? And that's what it is. And it's all about, not guessing, but kind of feeling what's coming next. And 9 times out of 10, it's something that we've done, you know, 10 years ago. You know, and it's really sort of anticipating that, I could bring that back in again. And it's all of a sudden, people go, oh, it's fresh.
Like the twins, the twinnies and the twin
Yeah,
pin.
yeah, all
Fishes,
that, and
yeah.
all that,
Fish it, yeah.
you know, flames was another one. Like
Oh yeah, wave graffiti did a mean set of flames coming in from burning in from the rails. Yeah,
And that was the one that Simon had.
yeah, that was Simon's.
That was Simon's one,
Yeah, I had I surfed with someone this morning, and when I said I was coming up here, I forget who it was now. It was busy in the water this morning. And whoever it was told me that I'll remember just after producer Dodd stops recording, I'll remember who that person was. So sorry, whoever you are. That they'd found a Paul Lovell wave graffiti, yellow wave graffiti this week in their garage that they'd bought off him. And they'd thought about taking it for a surf. And they'd said like they were just, it was from that kind of heyday when like Slater, the heyday of the 7-inch nose rocker, 3-inch tail rocker, 17-inch wide, when surfboards were absolute potato chips.
The worst, honestly, and I'll say this now. I mean, what we've seen over the last 10 years is basically, as I say, that revolving door where the mid-lengths or the eggy shapes have come back in, and it all works, and everybody, the shorter, fatter boards, whatever, which is a bit like that, Crab Island. It's 20.5 inches wide, and it's got volume in it, blah blah blah, But we will never see those. I mean, Slater has got a lot to answer for.
Well, he was the only person who could surf them, wasn't he? So it was his advantage, get everyone else to try and copy him, but he's the only guy who can ride
And the
them.
funny thing was, as you guys are probably fully aware, is that you weren't a surfer unless you were riding one of those boards. Because we all followed what the pro surfers were riding. If you weren't riding what they were riding, forget about it. And it was just like so backwards, And
But that was the thing. There was the people like us who, I guess, really were your main customers back then. Because now, because surfing is more mainstream,
of course,
you really have to cater for those guys. So I'm assuming like you'd be shaping more full volume boards now than you would be more performance surfboards.
Oh, definitely. But there is still. I mean, obviously the likes of say, Alice now is full performance board. There are still people having performance boards.
Yeah.
But they're slightly different,
Yeah.
They've got more volume in them. They are different. We've realised that volume is our friend and we need it. And if it's shaped right, or that volume is distributed, I can't even say it. So I've been drinking, you see. Distributed right throughout the board, and it's balanced. And it's all got to connect with the rocker line, rails, blah, blah, blah. It's the full package. It becomes, that's what you need. It's your friend. You don't, yes, thin boards, and you will know. On the wave, they're amazing because you are so close to the energy. You can feel every little thing, and it'll react so, acutely, you know what I mean? But as an all-round... an unversatile board is what they are. So you need that, and I think people have learnt that.
And especially in the South Wales coast.
It can be, as it doesn't matter. It's the height or the size of waves don't mean that it's powerful. It doesn't, it can be good. It can be shit. It's average. It's just all over the place, really. We don't have consistent power because when you see boards that come from, say from South Africa, Oz, depending where it comes from in Oz, but, and America's slightly different. But certainly South African boards, and I'd say certainly, most of Oz, they're all, it's all different. They're all geared up for, power and in the pocket surfing.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys, and I'll say, the guys that are surfing in the pocket are probably, 5-10%, maybe. The rest of, are average surfers,
Cruising on the face.
calves, surfing really well, but the guys that really what they call hacking and attacking, there's only a small percentage.
Yeah.
So there's, the demand for those boards is kind of, and you see that because they're trying to make those boards go in everything, but they don't, because the way they adjust things, it makes them, they don't surf properly when the waves are good.
Is the other change that I find fascinating in surfboard shapes nowadays that a bit like the 4-minute mile, where like no one thought it could be done, and then once someone done it, everyone's done it. People now paddle in to big pits on like 6.3s.
Yeah,
and it's like that idea that, well, I know Ryan's has just been loading up a couple of 7.0s for your flight, but like you love a really nice long, like early entry board for big waves, but they are not so much the done.
No, well,
now,
they ride shorter boards, pipe and stuff like that. You see that, obviously there's things that we've learned
about how to get it.
About how the dynamics of the board works nowadays. Obviously, rocker lines, fin placements, volume, plan shape, everything. We've got our knowledge now. You can refine things, and that's what we didn't have years ago, because, fortunately, with the computer, if you're lucky enough, you're able to, to have a CNC machine, you can adjust things now that to do it by hand would be so hard, and it would be sort of too hit and miss. So the things that you can do now is amazing, I mean? That's where, but that's only from what we've learned over the years, because everybody would look at a board and go, well, as long as it's got a nice plan shape, that's all right, it's great. And that's only part of the equation,
Working through your journey, and the companies that you worked with from, where then in the timeline do we come from the wave graffiti? How does wave graffiti become JP?
Right,
how do you end up working for yourself?
So wave graffiti kind of, we had a big shop in Swansea, as Rhino probably remember. And after that, that was 96, we basically finished that, and we sort of went separate ways.
So that's you and Chris Bine
and someone else who came in on the shop, and it all went separate ways. We sort of disagreements, perhaps. But not really, just separate ways.
It's just one of those things.
It's one of those things.
Things come to an end, don't they? Yeah.
And so basically, sitting in my house one day, going, after loads of stress, because if anybody's, had a business that's gone pop or whatever, or we've had to close,
And what year is this?
This is 96.
So Tom is about 10 or something.
Yeah,
Kids to really look out
all
for
that,
there.
and I'm just going, I'm in the garden, choking up some rays, pretty much had a nervous breakdown, with all the crap that was going on. Going, I got to work. Can't be just sitting here, I got to work. Because getting the dough was impossible, or virtually nothing, because you were self-employed as such.
Yeah.
All that sort of... Anyway, so it was like, right, I just sort of sat up, bolt up, right, I got to get a job. Right, what can I do? Blah, blah, blah. Make some phone calls. Phone Nigel Semmons, down in Cornwall.
Ocean Magic.
Nigel, anybody, looking for somebody to work. And he goes, as it happens, he said, I got 30 boards that need sanding. Do you want to come down and, can you... Yeah, yep, no worries. So, and Herbie's Volvo.
Oh, yeah, I remember
the
that.
brown Volvo.
Yeah.
The Mambo,
off I went.
The Mambo wagon, yeah.
Brilliant car that was. Off I went, down there, slept in that for a week and sanded 30 boards. Yeah, and kind of... And there was people then, obviously, I knew, obviously, the boys down in St Agnes and stuff like that. And
What was this, like... Was this around Chops and...
Yeah, but it was Steve England, Gareth Kent, and people like that. I kind of hooked up with those guys because of Steve England, really. Rob Small.
Was Rob Smalls at St Agnes, isn't he?
Yeah, but he was at that time. He was up in London. I think he was sort of on his sort of acting.
The modelling.
Yeah, and all whatever he was doing. So basically I hooked up, sort of, his friends of those guys, and then. Gareth Kent just said, which is Robin Kent, his father, said,
And Dominique was the sister, and she was a ripper as
That's
well. Yeah.
that's Gareth's sister. That would have been.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
right,
So and then it's James. Little Jim.
Jim, hell of a barrel rider.
A hell of a barrel.
I did a trip with him to Purton, and that was my the first time that I actually saw like some of the best barrels I've ever seen ridden.
Well,
was by him.
He sent me some photos. He was right. I did him a 7 foot, which is massive for Jim because he's only like 5 foot nothing. Surfing La Grundy Nias. Solid 8, maybe bigger.
He charges.
Unbelievable.
He really charges.
Fair dues.
Yeah.
So so that's kind of my connection there, and I kind of. So I basically, what happened was I ended up working for shops down there, and sort of started living down there, and people started asking me, "Oh, can you make me a board?" Blah blah blah, and then I ended up doing some Darren Daz from Surfworks, Darren Pryor, whose uncle was Freedom Surfboards. What's his name?
In Jersey.
Yeah.
Pete.
No, come on, you should know.
Jersey, Freedom.
Yeah.
I know the
Freedom
band.
Surfboards. Oh God, he was famous back in the day.
Oh,
God, my brain's gone. My brain's gone. The brain is gone. I'm trying to think of his name.
good friends with Herbie as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Ah, good God. Anyway, so he was.
Herbie.
I'm just trying to think. No, he
Not
was,
one of the Debanos.
No, one of the Debanos. No, it wasn't Debanos.
That's what I thought it was.
I'm
thinking of
Steve
that.
Harewood.
Steve Harewood.
I was
yes.
thinking of Nick
on.
Debano.
Steve
I was.
Harewood.
Yes.
Steve
Yes.
Harewood. So he was his uncle was Steve Harewood.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I ended up he wanted me to come and do some shapes and work there, blah blah blah. And as time has gone on, obviously shaping boards, bringing boards back here, guys are loving them, blah blah blah. Then obviously connections in and around. Russell Winter started to come and have boards off me when he was on the CT. Then there was Jamie Owen and Grishka, Bairdy, all the sort of like the local, top guys. But yeah, Russell was, was really, obviously one of the top guys.
You talk about all these guys. Like, are they? Who did you most like enjoy working with? Because I know like some guys will just come to you and just say, "Can I have a board?"
Yeah.
And you kind of generally know what they want. Who gets really involved? Who did get back in those days? What was Russell like?
He was really quite good actually. He'd question a few things. Well, why, and he'd want to know why I'd done something.
Right.
So it was, and because he has got a unique style, you know what I mean.
He has, yeah.
He's kind of got a wide stance, believe it or not. But if you watch him surfing, he's got a wide stance, and he's not that tall.
No.
There's a lot of lift.
But he's
in
got
his turns as well,
he's got a wide stance, but he's also got that super aggression. He's got loads of power.
He's so explosive. Isn't
So it's quite a specialist board is what he kind of needs. But obviously, we're going back. These are hand shaping days, so it was like it was hard to get. But yeah, he had quite a few boards, and he did really well on it. I think
Third in Brazil, in the Brazil CT.
I think that board that his favourite is in the British Museum, in fact.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
As far as you know, yeah.
Wow.
So that was good. Yeah, he did, and he came second and third in quite a few contests down in France at the time.
Yeah. I mean, well, you talk of like famous people riding your boards, but you got one up on the wall there, which I believe that one was shaped for.
Well, no, it was
for Tom Curran.
Well, no, not
Well,
really.
He rode that one.
He
did ride that one.
So that was shaped. So if you look at that, there's a logo on the back. That was shaped down in Surfworks.
That was it, right,
when I was in the UK. So basically, that's
How tall is that? Because it looks tiny.
5'7" it is.
And that's when he was sort of in his he's always experimental, isn't he?
Yeah,
that is
him.
the board right there that Spud, Matt, Stephen, and myself we were yakking away about that board.
Yeah.
I think either during the sort of semi-final or the final of the men's at the British on the webcast, because Spud came in for one heat.
You sure not mixed up with the Punani?
No.
Because that's what Johnny James had.
Oh, I
remember that one?
Yes.
If that is the board if that there is the board that with glassed-in fins that Jem Evans had in his van for about 3 months.
Oh no,
3 years.
Yeah, 3 months. I wish. I nearly didn't get it back.
He was on the naughty list for payment, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that list. Yeah. It's not called the naughty.
It's not the naughty list.
Jem, you're still on it apparently.
Yeah.
So that board there now, if you're on YouTube, you can see us right now, and I'm sure camera anchors you can get a look at it. That was the board then we were saying Spud had ridden.
Yeah.
In an event, and we think it was a British Cup at Fresh or a Welsh.
Could well have been.
And he'd done a proper, speaking of Curran, he'd done a proper Curran, when Curran famously belittled Matt Hoy on a 20, and Spud had gone out on a 20.
And I'll just quickly reflect on that, because that's when things started changing in board shapes.
What, that heat against Hoyer in Hossiger?
Yeah, because after that he went to, that's when there was pictures of him in Bauer.
Feral Kingdom.
And all that, right?
Yeah, the fireball fish.
He changed, that's when things changed, because basically, as you know, that thing, he was like 10 minutes late, and he kind of paddled up the beach, and everybody goes, what's he riding?
I think the exact quote from whoever was commentating was, ooh la la. As Curran paddled out on it.
Yeah. But, and
They
then...
beat Matt Hoy.
And beat Matt Hoy, and everybody went, he's riding the fish.
Yeah.
Oh, so we can ride those boards.
Yeah.
From where it was like you had to be riding, that's, it's ridiculous. For me, Tom Curran, but for me, and it was obviously Larry Bertelman, if you want to go back, little heroes of mine, and people like that, Buttons and things like that.
It's that low, feet apart. 1 foot is only about half a foot from the nose.
Yeah, but Curran for me, I'm not saying he's God, but he's just so impressionable. So, he's just like unbelievable. Has got the gift, and is such a really, humble, quiet. I've met him. You brought him round to the factory, if you remember, and it was like, this guy, he's not, because we've all met those guys. They've got, blah blah blah, and you just go, oh really, and. But he's such a humble guy. And as, the story, do you want me to tell the story?
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely, that's what
you have no choice of not telling that story.
So the story was, as it happened, was I get a phone call from Jem, or Rhino, I think it might have been. Hi, John, we're coming down to Swansea. Oh, yeah. Just wondered if we call up the factory. I said, well, yeah, you know where it is. Yeah, it's up on my mate's farm. Yeah. It's an old chicken shed. Oh, right, okay. Yeah. Is he? Yeah, you find it. Yeah. Oh, we're bringing someone with us. Yeah. Yeah. Tom Curran. I was like, who? Right. Yeah. Let's tidy it up. And next. So obviously they turned up, and I'm like, almost
there he is,
gobsmacked. You know what I mean? And then on the wall,
and he's tiny.
There was. There has been a number of photos, but there's a 5-star, and it says on it, 5-star pic of Tom Curran doing a bottom turn at Backdoor Pipeline, where his fingertips, I mean, it's like, I don't know, solid 8, 10
I know
foot.
The picture.
With the yellow board.
Yeah, and he is just like, he's not like wide-eyed and like scared. He's just like,
cruising.
and it's just perfect.
It's perfect.
It is like,
it's one of the greatest surfing photos of all time.
And it's just amazing. So, and then, so the story goes, he's walking around and he's going, nice boards, man. And he's all like really quiet. I was like, yeah. And then I think, it was yourself or Jem says, oh, John, is it right if Tom borrows a board? What? He wants to borrow? No chance. Yes. Which one do you want? And he kind of went, oh, can I, is it okay if I take that? I was like, yeah, sure. So what way are we going surfing? Where's the waves? I said, oh, well, there's a wave at the shore break and everything, so down in Langland. So, right, okay, let's go down. So, right, okay, get down there. And it was quite funny because, obviously the word had got out. And Tom Curran was around, and he might be surfing Langland. It's funny, even though, did we have mobile phones then? Yeah.
Yeah,
just the beginning.
About,
yeah.
Just about.
So the word was out.
2004. It was 2002.
It was September of 2002 it was.
So there we are. So anyway, so get on the beach and like the local boys are in, you know, some of the ones you know, Timmy Page, Dilla, Simon, and all his brother, you know, and they're all there, you know, giving it all, and you could tell them because they'd obviously Tom Curran's here, you know. Yeah. And I remember Tom standing up by the huts there and just sort of standing watching, and it was what, I don't know, head high perhaps, was it?
It wasn't very pretty, I can remember that. It was the weather,
and
was
it
atrocious.
was lying on shore break, which is pretty shit anyway, you know.
Yeah.
It's what it is. It's a shore break. So he just literally, Tom Curran just like Mr. Cash, you know, just walks down and he just kind of looks at it and goes, yeah. And you know, the funny thing is you watch him, you know, he's just like, everything he does is really casual. But it has a meaning, if that makes sense, you know what I mean? Yeah. When he puts the board in the water, it's just like, it's almost like things are in slow motion. But it's all like real time. Out he goes, he just sits there like that. Not even, you know, just like unassuming. Oh, funny enough, a wave just happens to come in just in the right spot. And he literally just takes off, down, bottom turn. Bear in mind, he's never ridden this board.
All the way.
Straight away, he's looked at it and gone, I know how to ride that. Straight down, bottom turn, up, off the top, big spray, back down, like that, big re-entry.
I got goosebumps.
And I was like, wow. And you can see everyone kind of looking but not looking, as if to say, you know, he is that good.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's you're in my local spot. But it's quite funny, you know, because they didn't, I don't know if nobody really came up to him and sort of said, oh, wow, you're Tom Curran, did they? I don't think they did.
I think he kept it really under the radar.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about that, I think after that trip, like, this board didn't come home to you. But I think one of the things which happened was that stayed with Jem, but Tom actually stayed with Jem for quite a bit of time after that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wonder whether, I know Jem probably would have ridden it, but I think Tom probably took a bit of a shine to the board. Probably.
Yeah, I think he rode it more, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and rode it when he was down in France.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We
But
have,
it stayed
we
in
have
France.
actually, we've quizzed Jem Evans on this matter, and
Yeah,
I can't think off the top of my head which episode it is, dear listener. But you know, you wind back through our back catalogue, find Jem Evans on Tom Curran. That whole story is told again, afresh by Jem.
But yeah, no, it's so it's for me, and I think there's in fact, I was doing boards with Jace Robinson around that time as well, and I think it's in one of the Carb magazines because I know they went on a Norway trip, Rip Curl.
Yeah.
When he went back to Rip Curl after the Realm. And there was pictures of him, you know, in the mag, him riding one of Jace's boards,
Right.
which was. Again, you know, I mean, for me, it's just like amazing. Yeah. But it's almost the same as when Nathan was when he was sponsored by Rusty.
Chris Ward.
Yeah, he was in Hawaii, obviously in the Rusty house in Hawaii when Nathan would have been, what, 20s, early 20s. Yeah. I shaped him a 7-foot gun. And I think Wardy at the time was sponsored by Rusty as well. And he kept borrowing Wardy's 7... Oh, and I said to Tom, I think, we were chatting about this the other day. I said, the magazine, but it could have been Trans World Surf, and basically what it was like, it was the mag was showing that there was like a number of possible cover shots.
Yeah. And
that almost made the cover shot. Didn't quite, but it was in there, full page of him riding the 7.0 at Pipeline. So yeah, here you go. And
there was a picture as well of Wardo, although I think this was in one of the British mags. You know, like standing on the shoreline at Pipeline, wet with that
that's
same
right.
board
Yeah,
under
that's
his
right.
arm,
Yeah,
you know?
that is true. Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, I mean, Llewellyn Whittaker, the South African boys, you know. Yeah. Ruben Pierce, you know, I got shots of him.
Silsey.
Yeah, Silsey surfing boards at Pipe, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to come back. I'm going to ask you a very sort of like game show style question, very much along those lines. In a little bit, actually. Yeah. Well, no, don't go right. I've given that far too much of a sort of
all right.
Of a what, you know, what do you call it? I've bigged that up too much now. But you know that growth of JP Surfboards then, because it's kind of through those the 2000s that it grows and becomes.
It grew really quickly, you know. But it was kind of like all I was doing was just taking in information and trying to sort of understand. And obviously, you know, it's about you look at other boards, you'd see other boards and go, why, and what, and try. I was basically working out all that time, which is I was doing previously to that, but to really sort of hone in and go, how do they, why can't, the boards have got to be, we need to check, I need to check everything. So it was like, I was, and obviously it was still hand shaping. This was before CNCs, So it was measuring everything. I was really, and I focused, what I was kind of doing, it's plan shape, but I was sort of focusing really on rocker lines. And that was really important. And at the same time, fin positions. To me, that was like the engine. You had to get, if you haven't got, you can have a lovely looking car, if you've got a shit engine, you ain't going anywhere. So it was like, that's what I was focusing on then, was really honing my rockers. So when somebody said they wanted a board for Indo, or somebody wanted a board for Y, I go, right, I know what rocker to put in here. And all these things are so, and that is so, so important.
Surfers like Russ and Nate would have been wanting boards specifically for
performance
certain
waves.
waves.
These guys were going around the world.
Yeah, so
they weren't surfing just Cornwall and Wales. They were going all around the world.
Yeah.
And that's when I say a lot of South African guys would come to me.
Yeah.
And things like that. But all the time I was just taking in that, that knowledge of trying to work out what was
how much
doing what.
Of that kind of growth of JP Surfboards, and your kind of your operation was also synchronized with the decision to get a shaping machine.
Well, that that came later. It was the fact is what I ended up doing was. Shape machines were starting to show their presence. And this was the first, Matt Barrow, who you fully well is. He opened up a factory called Factory 52.
Was that in Bodmin, was it?
Yeah, in Bodmin.
And they had loads of labels under one roof. Like lots of foreign ones.
Exactly. And obviously previous to that, Pukas had already had one. But the first shaping machine in the world really was Michel Barland. It's Barland Surfboards, France.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's going back years. He had a shaping machine then, and I think he also helped to develop the KKL machine in the States.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
So it goes back. So so going back to that's where so it was like I got to step into the future if I want to. Consistency is what, as a shaper, a surfboard manufacturer, you want consistency. And I could see the consistency that was, which was coming in. It was all about, this is the start of the models and the things like this, but you could just go, and I was just going, wow, this is the way forward.
Was that like a real mind-blowing moment for you?
It was, because I had to embrace it, because you just couldn't you wouldn't be able to physically keep up with, and you couldn't have the consistency hand shaping.
Yeah.
So that was a turning point, and
What
obviously
does the machine do then? Is it
roughly what they do, right? So they do the three things. So they'll do your rocker line,
right?
They'll do your plan shape, and they'll do your foiling.
Right.
The newer machines nowadays will also put your rails on. They'll also put in concaves.
Okay.
And even some of them will put in channels.
Really?
So it's developed over the years.
What is it? Is it like a pair of trestles and then like a kind of a... Does it work like one of those car wash things, where it reads by laser?
Yeah, it's X, Y, and Z. So it's a 3-axis machine.
Yeah, okay.
So mine just runs on mine's like a framework where it runs up and down the frame. So the surfboard
whittles it as it goes.
Surfboard is on a bed, and it's basically got a router machine with a special cutting tool on it, and it goes up and down.
And do you have to turn the surfboard over?
And then I turn it over. So some of them are totally different. I remember going to the States, and I was in Huntington Beach, and I was in what the hell's the guy's name? I can't think of his name. And he had one of the...
Describing what's it?
Yeah, I can't...
Huntington Beach shaper?
No, I wasn't sure. He was just like a finishing shop, he was.
Oh, right, okay.
I did have his cards, and I can't even think. But he had this machine. It was like, I think it was the KKL. So it had a big arm, like a big sort of JCB arm with a cutting thing on the end, and it had 2 beds, one either side, and it would you put the blanks on there, and you just come out that side, come across, do that one, flip them over, boom, boom, boom.
Sounds amazing, yeah.
So to see that, so that was good, but the one I've got was developed with Eric Ayakawa and a guy from Brazil who developed it. Him and this Brazilian guy developed it. Rusty had one. It's probably about, I think, a lot of the American guys had this machine, and then of course at the same time Nev Hyman was developing the APS 3000. So, and that was a different type of machine. My machine, I can take it apart, all bits, and it's really easy.
And then handy that you're a mechanic.
Yeah, the APS 3000 is a bit of a thing. You get this on tracks, it's all in one big lump, you know. A lot more, and the board actually, it does, no, you turn it again, you have to do it physically, turn it over on the bed. But it's got a different cutting head, and basically the board stays still. But then it's got this big track that goes up and down. This, it's a bit of a thing, you know. But they're all different, you know. But mine, I always liken it to, like, look, you get a good chippy, good carpenter, he could build you a house with a handsaw, right? It'll take him a while.
Yeah, but he'll get
right. But what you'll find is some of his cuts are not going to be quite right. Okay, a shaping machine is exactly the same. It's like a carpenter now.
Yeah.
He's got a chop saw. My angles are right. Boom, boom. I'm doing it twice as fast. That's a CNC machine.
Yeah.
But what's good about it, and what people, you know, and it's great that you need to know. I think you don't have to, but knowing hand shapes and coming through all the different types of boards and bottoms and stuff like that, you've got that knowledge, and you go to into your software, and you can start playing around with this and go, oh, so I can be shaping something and be going, oh, I got an idea. I can whip upstairs, put on here, cut it out, right, yeah.
Wow.
So what I can't do that physically. I probably have to make a template and mess about.
Yeah.
Then I got to get the right blank, the right rocker line that's already kind of, you know, set in that blank, and if I can adjust it a bit, all those things. But still like hand shaping. I still like doing
Because that was your craft.
the whole
from the
thing
very
because
beginning.
you see this thing evolve in front of you, right? As you're going through the motions, it's like you're creating this thing, and it's like it's there.
Yeah.
And that's lovely. It's a satisfying feeling, and to do that, and you know, I will say sometimes you can it can still be that magic board. It doesn't, you know, because I've made a mistake or I've had to iron out something or change something. You know, but that is the creativity of it is lovely. But then it's nice to have the machine because I can instantly do something. So it's like it's a good mix.
And I just going off a bit here, like you've got the shaping machines and you've handcrafted. How do inside when you see somebody absolutely ripping on your board? That must be quite magical, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's the buzz.
Yeah.
For me, it's the buzz, right? The buzz is, and I've always said this to everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're pro, intermediate, beginner, whatever.
Yeah.
When somebody goes, John, that's amazing. That board is. And I'm just going, that's the buzz. Yeah. It's not about anything else. It's just what I've, because all I'm concerned about is making them the right board. And the worst thing is when, say, somebody like Russell Winter, or, you know, Jay Quinn, or whoever, you know, Llewellyn Whittaker, Nathan, that's the best board. That's the best board I've ever had. Well, that's shit for me, because now I'm going, where do I go now? It's like, I better make a shit one then. Yes. But you know what I mean? It's like, that's actually one of the worst things. And like, you know, it's like Alice now, and it's just like, I always tell guys, and it's just, look, if you're not happy with something, just tell me. Yeah. It's not an insult. You're not insulting me. You know, it's like, it's you complimented me because if you don't tell me what you're feeling,
I guess you're always learning. You're always evolving. You don't want to stay still anyway.
No,
do
you can't stay still.
No.
And it's, you know, so it's now, and I'm constantly mixing things up. So, you know, I'm kind of picking up stuff from what I was doing 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I'm going, I'm going to add a bit of that. And like I say to people, it's a cake mix. That's the analogy. It's a cake mix. You add a bit of this, a bit of that. It's not too wet. It's not too dry, and it's not too sweet. That's it.
That's what it's all about.
But you had, you know, put too much icing on and it's don't like that. But, you know, and obviously, you know, the toe boards and stuff I was doing for, you know, Tom Lowe and Fergal and all that. I mean, that was a great relationship with those boys.
I remember that.
Absolutely great relationship, you know. And it's been amazing.
And this is, you've got quite a reputation for for shaping top-notch bigger boards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's nice because, you know, you shape those guns and you just look at them and go, whoa. You know, that's kind of, you know, I suppose that's what you saw years ago. You know, it was like, because it was Hawaii, wasn't it? That's where you saw surfing. It was like you'd see those guns and go,
It's a piece of battlecraft.
It is. Yeah. And, you know, you just look at that and go,
ooh.
No.
Something.
Yeah. And, you know,
something wicked this way comes.
Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, the Irish boys, been great as well, working with those guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Fergal was, you know, gentleman, really, yeah. And again, he was really good with the feedback. You know, amazing. You know, yeah, I've been lucky.
Yeah.
I've been lucky to have, you know, to have been asked to make these boards for them, you know. It wasn't me asking them, you know, it was them.
And you brought the goods. You certainly brought the goods, because those guys, you know, you've seen the pictures, you've seen the videos. It's like, that's John's boards. Yeah. That's amazing. So what about yourself then, John? Are you surfing much yourself now?
Bits and pieces, not enough.
Not enough, well, like the most of us, of us.
Yeah, trying to slow down a bit and trying a bit more TLC, yeah. Yeah, obviously longer boards now, you know, as it is.
Yeah,
you
shape your own boards for yourself, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
Do you ever ride anybody else's?
No, but I actually... and the funny thing is, I actually thought about it. Well, you know, obviously I'm just going to say it. I'm going to Oz Christmas time.
Yeah.
See my daughter. And I was like, right, yeah. Well, yeah, just go there and buy a board, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
Why not?
Why not? You know, just, saves all the hassle carrying it.
Yeah.
And then I was actually thinking... They're expensive over there, aren't they?
Yeah.
And not only that...
Who are you flying with?
Qantas.
Ah, you'll get a board with them.
Yeah, I know. And But I thought, I know what I'm going to be doing. I'll be going, no, I don't know.
You know, you're going to be hypercritical.
I'll just be like... and, you know, just the extra time and hassle. I thought, why don't I just take a board and I leave it there? You know, then...
That is a good idea.
I got... Every time I go, there's a board there.
An excuse to go back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where I'm at, really, surfing-wise. Yeah, trying to get in as much... You know, I find it more difficult through the winters, you know. Crowds, really, I do sort of... I struggle with crowds, like some of us do, but it's just one of those things. You get down the beach and go, oh, God, really? Does it have to be like this, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas back when I started, it was like, you knew everybody who surfed. You go down the beach and go... Why is that? There's no one here. Why is that? Am I in the wrong place?
Yeah.
And you'd wait for somebody to turn up and go, right, okay. Whereas now it's like, there's somebody in there already. You know, it's just like, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you know, trying to do a bit more a bit more travel, a bit more surfing. Yeah, that's what's got to be done. Enjoy it a bit, you know.
Yeah, why not? But what about the trips? You must have done a million trips over the years. Any which really stand out to you as like some, like, you don't have to mention the bad bits or tell us about the bad bits.
Oh no, we had some good bits. You know,
Yeah.
You know, we've had some funny bits. Yeah, that's for sure. You know, I don't know. Morocco has been a good one. We went. In fact, I went down with Timmy Page and Wayne Davenport and Lewis and Tom, my two boys. Oh, that was, you know, it was quite funny, really. Yeah, we obviously ended up with the shits, as you do.
How was you doing Morocco?
As you do in Morocco.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny. Good waves, really good waves. Timmy was on form, like he is, and but I always remember we were coming back, and you know, we were driving up to the airport, and there was these guys thumbing, you know, on the side of the road, and it was actually the staff on the airplane were thumbing a lift, and we're going, really? Hang on, it was like, they were like, the pilot, not the pilot, well, I don't know if he was the pilot, he probably was, or the second pilot, they standing on the road, thumbing. you know, trying to get a lift.
Because their airline company's not looking after them.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but yeah, it was quite bizarre. It was a good journey though. Yeah, we just
When you're placing your heart, your life in their hands, then.
Yeah, we've had some good trips. You know, obviously Portugal, the States. You know, I remember going to the States with Nathan. You know, that was brilliant. You know, we had some good times then. You know, it's just all over the place. You know, years ago I surfed. I surfed. When back in the 70s, I surfed Stockton Avenue.
Santa Cruz. Inside out right hand barrel, yeah.
And I remember we parked.
You're privileged because nowadays there's a hell of a local crew on that.
I know, and I remember turning up there and it was kind of like, okay, so it's sunny.
That's a gnarly wave.
Yeah, the water's colder there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, it was kind of, September, but it should be all right. Oh, everybody's got like gloves and boots on. I'm thinking, geez, all right, so I had a steamer, the steamers were out then, so I had a steamer and I was like, I better put my boots and gloves on then, It was like boiling. I couldn't believe it because obviously you used to, knowing how cold waters can be, you know what I mean? It was like, this is nothing,
Yeah.
But I remember being in that we stayed in the car park that night in the van, and I kind of woke up in the middle of the night going, somebody's rocking the van. What's going on? The van was going up and down like this. And what was happening was an earthquake.
No way.
I was like, is there going to be a tidal wave? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like just sitting up going, well, we're right on the, Yeah, that was,
Hairy moment.
Yeah. And surfed Vancouver Island way back when as well. And that was... that was kind of special because we had to walk down through the forest to this Sombrio beach, it was called, and a couple of guys said, if you go in there, just be careful. He said, there's bears, and we're like,
Salmon season.
Well, but bears with cubs, obviously, it was a good sort of half-hour walk through the forest, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it was a little bit eerie, and then the next thing when we were actually surfing, was a mate of mine who was there and I sort of hooked up with. Nobody surfed there. I actually met the South African. He was the national champion, Anthony Broadwich. This is going back, and he'd just been the South African champion, and he was in Vancouver University and just come over to Vancouver Island to surf. I met him there.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable. But and then it was like we're in the water and I'm going, what's that out there? There's something moving.
No,
Killer whale or something.
Killer whales.
Yeah.
Just loads of them.
Wow.
Which is not, you don't have to. You say, man, you don't have to worry about them. That's all right, that's cool. I was like, you sure? We're looking pretty seal-like, So, trips over the years, obviously. Barbados, Maldives. Wow, Barbados. Last time I was in Barbados, I met just a couple of years ago. Standing on the beach, we were couldn't just surf Super Bowl, and it was this contest on. It was like a WS, one of the WQSs were there. So we were surfing Pal. This was next to it, right? So we were standing on the beach, and I seen this guy walking down with a yellow sup. He did, a small sup. And he walked past and I was like, I kind of know that guy, old guy. Paddles out. And he just boom, he's gone. Comes back in, the guy, my mate I was with, Jim, he met him because he sups, and he met this guy on a contest, one of the world contests, And he's chatting away, and I'm just going, I know him. And because I heard Jim say, hi Ian, how you doing? And I'm going, that's Ian Cairns.
Ian Cairns, no way.
And he literally...
The godfather of pro surfing.
Yeah, so he's kind of, this is really cool, right? And so I'm thinking, this is my opportunity, Yeah. So he's kind of, he's standing there chatting, and I'm going, hi, yes, John, blah, blah. And I said, you're Ian Cairns, and he went, yeah. I said, you were ex-world champion. And when I said that, right, his eyes just went,
no way.
Because somebody, right?
No way, so he recognised him.
Yeah.
He's...
So it was brilliant. But 6 weeks before, he'd had stents put in his heart.
Oh wow, there he is.
Because he lives in the States, and I think he coaches the SUP guys a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's from WA.
Right.
Yeah, he was the kind of the key villain in the busting down the door. You know, it was Rabbit Tim, and you know he was the one that they pretty much.
Kanga Kens, wasn't it?
The Hawaiians were like,
Ian Kanga.
you're going home. It was like Rabbit, we don't mind you, but him.
So you meet these characters, don't you? But it was amazing, surf trips, just brilliant.
We're going to come to my
I had a surf trip with Carwin in Barbados. That was another one.
But that was an interesting one.
So he was on the mend, wasn't he?
After his accident.
So, so off we go.
This
we
was
were
the
there,
knee injury he had.
So we were there for a month, and it was it was funny. He wasn't surfing; he couldn't surf.
Oh right, okay.
He was still, rehabilitating and all that sort of stuff. But what he did do, right, which is really quite funny, because someone we all know, Turbo, Simon Blower, heard that we were there. Because the plan was, originally we were going there to make surfboards, which kind of, there was somebody, it didn't really develop because whatever. But Turbo heard that we were there. So on a jolly, so he's like, coming over. So
that's a very good impression, by the way.
Over he comes, right? And this is really funny. So over he comes, and he's just off the ball, isn't he? But he makes friends with everybody and things like this. So what he did do, Carwin got basically to get Blower to bring over. He had it on the big reels, the film of what was that film that he was in with?
All Down the Line. Rolling Thunder with Robbie Page.
No, is it All Down the Line? The one where he's with what's his name?
Danny Wills, is it?
No, it could have been. And
Tom Carroll,
Ross Clark Jones.
Ross Clark Jones, that one.
It's All Down the Line.
It's All Down the Line,
So he brought that out.
Did he?
And to show the locals. So basically they hired the big the church hall. Used the church hall down by Parlours, down by Soup Bowl, right? And had a film.
Great movie.
Wow, it is a good movie.
Yeah. But so that was brilliant.
Ross Clark Jones is the guy. He's in a car and they got the boards and the girls and the sunglasses.
They've got that the top down.
The top down,
And they're going to dance. That's the one. And so he did that. It was brilliant. We had some fun. And a Turbo had long hair, and of course you get the people walking up and down the beach, trying to sell you. Say, hey man, I'm gonna sell you something, and all this. There's another bit. This is really funny with Karen. I'll do this bit first. So anyway, he goes. Next thing, Turbo's disappeared, and he comes back, and we're just going, oh my god! So he's had all his hair braided. So I don't know if you remember, there was a film back in the 80s called 10. With Bo Derek.
Bo Derek in the nude.
We called him Blow Derek.
Oh dear.
So, but there was another. So obviously I'm fair skinned, right? So this is another thing that happened when we were there. So we're all sitting there trying to blend in. So we're up at this place called we've just been sort of just cruising, whatever. Small wave that was on by Gibbs. Is where we were living, which is on the west coast, not the east coast. And there was this place called the Office. Basically, there's this sort of this inside the palm tree, the coconut trees. There was this place where all the cool dudes hang out. So we're trying to be cool, and of course, guys on the jet skis there, they're just beginner jet skis. This guy's like, wah, wah, and he comes, it's just up the beach like that, boom, and he just gets off, and he's ripped, black, you know what I mean? Yeah. And he comes walking and goes, hey guys, what can I do for you, my pink elephants? And I'm just going, what? And this is and of course, Carwin, everybody, they were just floored, and everybody's so
just so smooth.
So
I love it.
But he did give me a compliment. He said I surfed. We were surfing Brandon Bay, and he said I came out and he said, "Oh, yeah, you surf a bit like oh God, what was his name? Bloody hell, Excalibur surfboards." Deerhurst, Ted
Deerhurst.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lord Ted.
So I was like, "Oh, I'll hold that one. Thank you very much."
Yes, thanks very much. That's one. Yeah.
Lord Ted.
But yeah, that was a funny trip, to say the least.
The Lord on a board.
And there was obviously other things that went on, but you know,
As they do.
we can't.
Hey, I got these.
Divulge, you know.
I said it was like a game show type question.
All right, here we go.
Well, but before we go to it, because I know
Yeah.
Craig can show us these later.
Yeah.
Those boards on the roof there,
Yeah.
right? We got that's a
History.
Tajborough surfboard.
That's a Tajborough surfboard, yeah.
Yeah, I remember
that's
those.
Tajborough.
Maurice Cole when he had the
Yeah.
little teddy bears, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then of course that's the current
Yeah.
one, and then this one in the middle here with
That's
the
a-
wave on it.
Yeah.
That's a gun.
How
Yeah.
big is that one?
7 foot, that is.
Yeah.
And this one here is
A Jack Johnson, is it?
Jeff Johnson.
Jeff Johnson, sorry. And
Sean
it's a
Briley?
TNC. Sean
it Sean
Briley.
Briley?
That's Sean Briley's, that is.
Would that have been ridden at pipe?
Possibly. He was a big guy, wasn't
He's
he?
a big.
He
He's
was
bigger than me.
Yeah,
he was a big guy.
huge guy. Yeah, and went right at went left at YMA as well.
Yeah.
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 Nutter.
Don't know, did he pass away or something?
No, I think he's still around, Sean
He went a
Briley.
bit nuts, did he? Or something? Yeah.
I think he got back into it.
Briefly, yeah. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he's doing like today. It wasn't that long ago. I was trying to find out a few of those. I can't remember why. I was doing something about that era, and we were looking at a few of them: Johnny Boy, Sean Briley,
Johnny
Liam
Boy Combs,
McNamara.
yeah,
You know, I think they're still.
Yeah,
You know, these guys are still around. Like.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was the boss at Pipe, basically, wasn't he?
Yeah, I remember it was always the thing in the mag. He surfed Toda Santos, you know, the big wave thing. He wouldn't wear a wetsuit.
How did you come by a Sean Briley surfboard in this country then? Like
I
that?
got it off, believe it or not, Pog.
Oh yeah.
Simon Probert.
Simon Probert.
How he got it, I don't know.
Wow.
But you know,
An
I'm quite
investigation
I'm
that
quite
is-
happy to look after it.
An investigation that is to be continued by Crest. So if it was,
I've had that for quite a few years.
But that brings me nicely in to this little sort of like quiz show style. I've really talked this up now. Haven't I?
Okay, yeah.
I was just going to say,
Good,
like,
please.
right, you're only allowed to choose one now, right? You know, so you're talking about like, you know, those boys out there in Ireland, or you're talking about Pipe or Silsey at Pipe or Wardo or whatever. What, to your knowledge, is the sort of the sickest situation you have ever seen a JP surfboard in? Whose feet is it under? Like, what wave is it on? The time you've most thought, like, wow, the thing I made is by there in that piece
Good
of water.
question.
Like,
Good question, Tom.
That is a good question.
because there's a few.
yeah.
That's
Right, well, you're only giving like one now, but go on, give us a short list there.
right. Well, I'm gonna have to say it, and oh Jesus, I don't know. Oh my God, because there's various. I'm gonna say Fergal.
Fergal
Yeah,
at Mulletmore.
I think so. Yeah, but
Yeah.
there's other ones. You know,
Yeah.
that are just equal.
Yeah,
You know, yeah,
lovely.
yeah,
Good answer, I like it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's loads.
Hey, that's just
There's loads.
that's
I should
brilliant.
say that sickest situation one has been
Nate
in.
won't be liking that.
Sickest situation one has been in yet. You know, because there's still
Well, yes.
there are boards still.
Oh
to be
yeah,
made,
yeah,
you know?
no, that's we got there's-
So Nath, you know you've got right to reply. See if you can
yes.
get out there now.
Yeah.
Alice, your
Alice,
big wave
come
career
on.
is coming.
It's coming. Now's your chance. I
The
mean,
ladies are back at Chopu and Pipe, Alice.
but
The
really,
Olympics, Alice.
I'm really pleased. I've done toe boards for Glyn Evans and Toby Cunningham,
Right. Yeah.
and Toby won the Big Wave Awards back in 2000.
The XXL.
Yeah, in 2000.
That was. Were they together, him and
12
Glyn?
or something.
Was it him
Yeah,
and Glyn?
they're
Glyn
partners.
and Glyn towed him. I
No,
think,
so, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I've done boards. They've got boards of mine down there. So, I mean, that's to me is amazing.
Yeah. Love
To
it.
watch it, I've been there and watching it on.
Really.
It actually looks, when it's offshore and clean and the sun's out, you go, "Oh."
I could give that a go.
Give me a jet ski.
And you kind of go, oh, that's doable. Really? Yeah, I don't think my legs would held up. They'd be gelling. It'd just be like, you know.
I
But
stood
your
on
board holds up.
the shore break at Nazare.
Oh, yeah.
Even standing at the shore
It's
break,
unbelievable,
like,
isn't it?
No way.
It's unbelievable.
It is huge,
you just go, really?
Yeah, yeah.
You know. I turned up there, the first night I turned up there, I was watching it, and some guys surfing down there. And it was probably, I wasn't, because I didn't go down to the beach, but for looking down, I would have said it was probably 6 to 8 foot, you know, 8, you know, these on the inside, but coming in and onto the shore. And I was watching, and obviously, but no one caught waves.
Really?
And I thought,
That's why.
the water's just like
Yeah, there's a lot of water
so
moving
water
about.
around. You just go, But yeah, it's like that's bone crushing stuff. Yeah, that's a different league. That's all I can say.
Love it. Well, you've said plenty, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
John. So,
Thanks.
I just got to thank you for your time. It's been
Yeah.
it's been wonderful, and thanks for your hospitality tonight.
Oh
you know,
no,
here
brilliant,
in,
guys. I mean, it's great. I mean,
beautiful
there's
place.
there's so much. There's things flashing in my head now. Of stuff and that. And people I've worked with and stuff. But it's just, I've been fortunate. I have been fortunate. That's
Well,
all I can say.
and Wales, Welsh surfing, and British surfing, and world surfing has been fortunate to have you.
Oh,
and
thank you.
there's
Thank
a
you.
lot that there are
Yeah,
chapters
thanks.
still to be written, aren't there?
Yeah. We're still ongoing.
So yeah.
I haven't finished up yet. Mind you, I get up every morning and go, Jesus Christ.
And that's before tonight's curry.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, brilliant. I couldn't, finish. And to be with obviously Rhino disappearing,
Yeah,
for
well,
him to be here now, that's been amazing.
We're going to say
I can't.
say a few words for him now, because I think
Good.
it's
Yeah.
we're going on our winter break after this, so as in
Nice.
the podcast.
Yeah,
so
it's great stuff.
yeah. Well, winter break, as long as producer Dodd's paternity leave is going moderately smoothly, though, I think there is going to be a Christmas episode. So I think we'll finish recording now and pick your brains about a Christmas surf session. So get thinking. In which I'm sure you will be hearing the voice of the Rhines again. But for us, here is that big moment. He's off to the airport soon. And what an adventure. what day is it, Rhines, you going?
Yeah, what day?
It's a week today. A week tomorrow, sorry.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Fly to LA. Brief stop there, then to Fiji. Brief stop in Fiji, and then to Auckland. And
All
then
organised? All ready to go?
all ready to. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and then there's
ready.
No one's ready.
You should see the island in his kitchen earlier. Oh my goodness me.
The one thing is certainly ready and is coming and is going to go in the container is the 7.6 that you shaped me. And I'm really looking forward to using that when it gets.
that'd be good at Ryan.
It'll gonna be
down
that's
the point.
Yeah.
Oh my
Because
God.
you shaped me that just before COVID
That's
because
right.
I was going to go to Bali to surf at Impossible.
That's right, yeah.
And of course.
Similar waves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it never. I haven't been back to Bali since before COVID, so now is a perfect opportunity to use it again, and maybe even get over to Impossibles as well. So, yes, it's a big step, it's a big adventure, and I'm looking forward to it. And I've got 2 months off coming up. Going to take a little
Nice.
motorhome,
Yes.
go around the South Island, have a look around there, and I'm actually going to live at Raglan. So,
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah. So
you're actually, that's where you're setting up.
we're not there at where we
Yeah.
go at the very beginning, but the kids are going to go to school there, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's the dream.
Well,
Mate.
it's just amazing, isn't it?
Oh, that's, I'm so, yeah. That's
I'm going to miss
amazing.
everybody here in Wales, from Swansea, from Lantwick,
Yeah.
from Newport.
Yeah, of
all
course,
you boys have been brilliant, and yeah, it's just time to spread.
Well, it's a
my
good
wings
opportunity
little bit.
for us to come and visit you. Isn't it?
Well,
That's
true.
what I
I promise,
reckon, isn't
yeah,
it?
True.
we're on it, and he's.
Maybe we could then, he'll just go, oh yeah, this is, he'll be obviously king of the point then.
He's been trying to auction off his spot in the point in Porthcawl, and there's been a bit of debate.
Who's talking?
Greg Owen claims his son Luca is going to have it.
Oh, is he?
apparently.
Well, yeah, no, I was speaking to, Matt and Emma, the longboard.
Yes,
master,
yes.
And he's like, oh, Rhino, right there. He's always in there. And it's like, but I let him have his ways, because I could steal him, really, because I'm on a longer board, see, John, and I'm like,
Now it's all
I'm
coming
kind
out.
of, I'm kind of going,
Matt.
yeah,
Go,
but
Matt.
no, you wouldn't, you couldn't.
No, that's one place I will miss, and yeah, it's sad
Wonderful.
times, but exciting.
It's exciting.
And
times.
also, thank you for having me on Crest, because
it's been a pleasure, Ryan.
the time that I've been here, I've loved doing every episode, meeting all the different guests, people like yourself, John.
Thanks.
People like Buzzy Kerbox, Gus Ruddle was another one that sticks in my mind, which was fantastic. I really
I need to
enjoyed
listen to
that.
things. Oh,
Brad Gerlach.
Brad Gerlach was
really?
another one. Jenny Jones.
Wow.
We've got a little outtake somewhere from the Brad Gerlach one. Gerlach comes off air. He's like, right, see you later, boys. And he goes off air, and we count out, we read our outro and all that, and then we stop it. and we've got the recording somewhere. There's like a little puff. Me and Rhino were like, we kind of look at each other and we're like, Rhino goes to me, what do you think of that? And we both just go, we just so too mind blowing, like we just had like amazing. 2 hours of Gerlach telling us.
He was an amazing surfer.
Yeah.
The other thought I had, just quickly, as I go to Raglan, perhaps use an opportunity for me to hook up with a guy at the Raglan Surf Report, and perhaps we could do a collab with Raglan Surf Report
and Crest
as well.
Well, hey, go and find them, and
how cool would that be?
It'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Cool. I know those guys that do the piss take out of like.
Yeah, that's them.
That's them.
Yeah. They're funny,
they're so good.
They're ordering a custom board one was amazing. That was.
Yeah, they're really funny. Aren't they?
Well, yeah, just ask for a 6'2". What?
But we're hoping that Rhines will catch up with some of the Welsh and British diaspora out there, because I think Swino's out there. There's Big Bird, Phil Reese and Laura and Chloe. And Chloe's the same age as your kids, isn't she? So
that's right. Yes,
you're going to catch up.
Tim Diamond's there.
Oh,
is he? Yeah. Lee Ryan's out there. There's quite a bit of a crew.
If you see Jay Quinn, further, just say hello to him for me.
I will do.
Because of course we're in our outro now. We are going to be throwing a bit of Maori in alongside the Welsh now, Rhines, because Rhino's been learning his Maori. He's been getting ready. So over to you, Rhines.
Thank you very much, Tom. Indeed. Anyway, John, I just want to say
thank you.
Obviously, thank you for coming on here to see us and speak with us about all your amazing stories on Crest. But I also would like to say thank you for supporting me throughout my surfing career, if you can call it a career, and support me with your boards, because they were. And I obviously still ride them to this day. Yeah. So for that, I'm eternally
for me, it's a pleasure, and that's what I'm here for.
Cool. And of course, can we also say a big thank you to you, the listener? We're always keen to hear what you've thought of our shows, and this can be done as ever by either emailing us at castcrest@gmail.com or via our Twitter or Instagram pages. Crest is available through Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And if you like what you hear, then please subscribe and review. As Tom said, we're off for the winter now, and I'm off, well, as you've just heard. But not before wishing you all a good winter and a very Merry Christmas and more.
Yeah, okay, so I'll do the Welsh bit, Rhines, and then you're going to throw in the Kiwi, all right, JB? You can say good. You can say very well. So here we go. I'm going to go. See you in the new year, guys. Gwelwch chi yn flwyddyn newydd, and hwyl fawr Rhino.
Tena koto katoa.
Tiny.
See you guys.